Good afternoon and welcome to the Action Drug Rehab Hour here on KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM. It's surely good to be here. Hope everybody had a terrific weekend. It's kind of weird because last week we did a repeat because I, for the last 2 weeks, had COVID again. And when I get it, it just hits me like an explosion, Robbie. You know that?
I
I
understand.
walk through the house and all of a sudden I feel bang, and I already know what it is. It hits me that quick,
Right.
So, but anyways, it's good to be back, and I'm your host. I got my co-host Robbie Robinson with me, and just for people who don't know you, everybody knows you, Robbie.
Oh, I'm okay.
But tell everybody who you are and what you do, just for a friendly reminder.
Just a friendly reminder, I work for the Sheriff's Department as an intervention
I
specialist.
thought you were LAPD.
No.
I'm just playing.
Well, they're great too, but I work
Yes.
for the Santa Cruz Sheriff's Department intervention specialist, civilian investigator, and work with people who have drug issues and juveniles having problems in school. So I try to come in and try to just give them some help and just help them maneuver through some of these situations. And I recommend a lot of them to come and see you. Even the last thing I'll say, I've been up in Gorman, which is on the borderline of Kern County, and I've been recommending you to a lot of people there so they could get services. So it's way up in the mountains there. So
Yeah, it's pretty.
that's what I do.
It's dry when it comes to services.
Oh, yeah, very much
a lot
so.
of lot of issues up in Fraser Park.
Oh, yes, a lot of drug issues, a lot of just really a lot of drug issues, and I'm starting to see some homelessness also. So,
Yeah, it's a bad time to be homeless too.
Oh, yes.
Anytime's a bad time, but
Yes.
now especially in Gorman and Fraser Park, it snows up there.
yes, it does. I'll be going up there. There's a good deputy up there, Deputy Snover, and I work with him, and another one's Sandoval. So I work with them, and we go around and try to help people who are homeless. I've come across several homeless encampments and also people who are using drugs. So it's ongoing.
It's sad, As I was coming to radio today, and when we first got here, we started a conversation,
That's right.
and the conversation was, "Look what's going on." I said, "I haven't watched the news in 10 days."
No.
Because every time I turn it on, it's so depressing. There's 3 hit and runs, and the drunk driver killed 3 people, and the war, there's millions of people that don't have homes, and people got beat to death. I mean, it's just like crazy stuff, right?
That's
And
right.
as we were talking about that, we were saying, and then after radio, I got to go to Sam's Club. I got to do some shopping. You were saying you got to go to run some errands, right?
Yeah, you just kind of, you are in your own world, your own little bubble. And every once in a while you stop and realize, gosh, there's people who are going through pretty horrific times. And it affects you, but briefly.
Yeah. Well, we were listening to the news before we came on the air, and there was about the tornado, and some families lost their children. And let's just take a second and think about that for a second. Some families lost their children today, and
Right.
we're over here on the radio. Their world's collapsing.
Oh, it's
Yeah, well,
destroyed.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess where I'm going with that, it's so strange because for them, everything stops today. Their whole world changes completely. It's a whole different game now.
Yeah.
And the pain and the torment and anger and sadness that they're going to be going through, and we don't know it. We heard it. We don't feel it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You briefly think, oh gosh, that's terrible. What a shame. 2 weeks before Christmas, and 2 weeks from now, we won't be thinking about those families.
No. And Robbie's talking about he goes and sees these homeless encampments.
Oh, yeah.
And these are people that are trying to stay warm at night because
Yeah.
it's freezing out. It's 40 degrees out
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And we're up in our beds, and we have problems. I mean, my life's not perfect by far. I mean, there's issues, business, headaches, and
Sure.
all that kinds of stuff. But it's still a whole lot better than a lot of these poor people that are going through it,
I think it is good though. I mean, as weird as it sounds, it's good that you have those moments where you go, hey, there's people out there who are really suffering
That's
right
true.
now. Yes,
true.
your problems are your own. But just take a second to realize that, there's
Absolutely.
way more serious issues out there.
Yeah, when you go to say your prayers at night,
Right.
think about what I leave out. What about all the people that are homeless? What about all the people on the streets homeless because of the war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the people that lost their families, the people who have
Soldiers.
no roof or bed.
That's right.
So you might want to include some of that in your prayers too, because it could be a hard, cold, miserable world. I remember I was speaking to a kid last week, right? And he was telling me how terrible his parents were. And I was saying, really, why? Well, they were laying down rules. They weren't really being parents. Now they decided they want to be parents. So he's fighting back, and he's doing things he ought to be doing. And then I had a conversation. I said, who bought you your shoes? Well, my mom, dad. How about your socks, your underwear, your toothpaste, who pays for the water bill and your shower? And you could see him thinking. And I remind him about other kids, because I remember when I was running groups for the Salvation Army in Hollywood, on Hollywood Boulevard. Actually, that place got burnt down. But during the holidays right now, we had a lot of kids. And kids, what I mean, there were 12 to probably 20 that would show up to these the groups we were running, and our goal was to keep them, give them a nice place, safe to be for a couple hours, and give them some hot cocoa, and if they wanted to get home, to try to figure a way to get them home, because they were runaway kids. They were street kids, not runaway kids. And some of those kids, man, I mean, you talk about parents. I'll never forget this one kid pulled up his shirt and showed us the iron marks. And then the other one showed us the cigarette burns from his father. And the other one talked about how his grandfather molested him while his mom was in the other room. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I was dealing with. And I was ready to walk out of a group one day, and I'll never forget this kid yelling at his girlfriend. She was a 14-year-old girl. And I went over and I said, well, what's the deal, man? And he says, you don't get it. We're going to freeze tonight. She left our blanket out here. It's stolen. And I'll never forget looking at this girl's face, and you could see the fear. And we had a blanket. So we gave it to her, and they went on. That girl died a few months later from AIDS, because she was on the streets doing what she had to do to survive. And we're in this bubble, and I'm dealing with these kids out here, and they're entitled. I mean, my mom and dad are bad because they want to give me rules. Well, man, I'd rather have rules than live out there. Yeah. So there's just so much stuff. And I guess the reason I'm saying all this is we got to be grateful for what we got. Thanksgiving just came, and it's gone. And now the Christmas and Hanukkah and all those things are coming. And we don't need to set ourselves up with expectations. I wish we had this. I wish I had that. I wish my house was bigger. I wish I had, you know what I mean? Those I wishes and expectations, what do? They keep us stuck, helpless, and hopeless.
Right.
Instead of looking at all the stuff we wish we had, how about all the stuff we do have?
Very fortunate. I mean?
Sure. Huh?
Oh, yes.
I mean, we're going home tonight. We're going to open a door. When I get home, I'll open the door. I'm going to be greeted by 4 Great Danes. It's going to be a demolition derby for me to get from one room to the other without getting slobbered on by one of my Great Danes. And I'm going to be all frustrated. I'm going to run up to my wife, give her a kiss, tell her I love her, and then hide from the dogs for a few minutes instead of running up the railroad tracks looking for a warm place to go.
Right.
That's true.
Well, and the thing that I'm thinking of, kind of changing direction here a little bit, you both are around very serious and sad situations on a daily basis for many, many years. Yeah. You have dealt with, obviously, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, other, behavioral issues and that kind of thing. How do you kind of center yourself? And I don't mean it to sound selfish, but you certainly have to have a way where you don't feel like you're constantly being bombarded with all of these horrible negative things. You need to have time for yourself mentally to have a little bit of a bright light.
Well,
how do you do that?
That's a good question, and I'll want to let you answer it in a minute. But yeah, if you look at it, I've literally carried 3 or 4 counselors off of treatment centers, off the units of them in my last 40 years because they just lost it. And in the midst of, treating a couple other counselors that had relapsed because it's just overwhelming for them, you know. So it's a tough deal. And then if you look at the law enforcement, I mean, we talked about 2 weeks ago, there was 4 suicides that was involved with people, deputies from around here, right?
That's correct.
So that's a good question. When you want to take it over,
Yeah,
Robert?
my thing is about boundaries. You have to set boundaries with everything. You have to set boundaries on your work. You can't bring it home to a degree. I know that there are deadlines and I know that there are certain things, but for me, always training and conditioning really helped me. But as my wife says, it's about boundaries. And a lot of times,
And balance.
and balance and boundaries. And sometimes, I get calls or like when I'm off and, I'll respond to you on Monday. And sometimes I won't respond until Monday, especially for the weekend, because I want to spend quality time with my wife and my mom. I want to spend quality time. So when you get quality time, it helps you balance off everything. You balance off. We, Cary and myself and all the other counselors, probation officers, we are not the answers. The answers start at home.
Right.
The answers start in the home setting. And I'm dealing with a lot of parents who now, as you said earlier, want to be parents, but when your kids were young, you had to start raising them. And I know a lot of
Somewhere
moms,
people forget
they
that,
forget
though.
a lot of moms, especially a lot of mothers, a lot of times, not always, but they have the brunt of raising 3, 4 kids. And, a lot of times the males and men are not there. And when the men are there, you have to take an active role in raising your kids. And it's easy to say, but it's work. Anybody that has kids knows it's good work and it's work, and you see the benefits later when they're moving on. But in this area, not always, but there is a lot of entitlement. What can you tell me? What are you going to do to me? You know, but that starts at home, and I just see that. And when that starts, there's no boundaries. Kids talking to their parents anyway. I had a kid tell his mother in front of me, "You're a liar." Said that in front of me. And then I looked at him and pulled him off to the side. And I knew if that had been my son or something, we'd have been in the street, because I am not going to allow him to talk to my wife or his mother that way,
Or yourself.
or yourself.
So how do you handle a situation? You were both talking about a boy who had said that now his mom wants to parent, but previously these past however many years she had not been a quote unquote parent to him. And how would you handle that? Because let's say in that instance, he's telling the truth. It's a truthful statement that she
yeah.
really has not been a good parent to him. And now all of a sudden she's had this,
Right.
discovery or revelation or whatever it might be. How do you handle that statement? Because again,
Right.
he's telling the truth in a lot of ways.
It's kind of crazy because in the parenting groups that I run, I mean, that's what it is. It's always that. I mean, the kids are so out of control. They come in and you say to yourself, wow, how did it get so out of control? I mean, the kid's not coming home for 3 days. He's using drugs. He's refusing to go to school. He's completely disrespectful of everybody. And the answer, there is an answer to what you said, and that is it's never too late. It's
Yeah.
never too late, and sometimes you have to take baby steps. Like parents will come to groups and they'll want immediate answers, and it's like Robbie said, I don't have all their answers, and neither does anybody in the group, but we do have answers. And so I'll tell parents that are coming in and say, out of control, what did they say? What do I do? I say, how about nothing? How about you just come back to group, try to get your kid to come with you until you're strong enough to figure out little things that you can do.
Process.
It's a process, exactly.
It's a
'Cause
definite process.
it doesn't just happen like that.
No.
You wake up in the morning and it's out of control. We allow that to happen. I mean, when kids start growing up, I'll never forget one of mine. I dropped him off at school. I think I said this once before, and I think he was about 10 or whatever age he was. And I said, I love you. And at night when I laid down with him, he says, don't do that. It embarrassed me. And I said, okay. And I had a hard time sleeping. And I went to school the next morning and pounded on the horn and went, I love you. And everybody and the principal and their mothers looked at me because we allow that to start happening. And the bottom line is we can't.
Well, you're not.
If that makes sense.
It makes complete sense.
It makes a lot of sense. The thing is, I am not your friend. I'm your mother. I'm your father.
They got enough friends, don't
That's
they?
right. You have enough friends. Now, when you have your own kids and stuff, we can talk and be friends. But until then, I am your mother. I love you. I'm your mother and father. I love you. I'm going to provide for you the best that I can with what I have. But until that time, you're going to respect me. Now, if you don't respect me, and you go to jail, the system will raise you. And it's a whole nother ball game. And as I was telling a mother not too long ago, I was saying, you have to stand up for your son now. The stance that you take now is about to save his life. He's 15 years old. He's out in the street. He's doing what he wants. He wrote graffiti on his arm. He wants to be hard. So you cannot back down from him. So now you have help.
Question, and if he's abusive
That's a
to
whole
his
nother
mother,
that's a whole nother ballgame.
what do you think's going to happen when he has a family?
I know one parent said to me that her son assaulted her and she had stitches in her head, and I tried to encourage her, to encourage her to file a report. I don't want him to go to jail. Well, maybe he needs to go to jail so he understands the consequences. See, as I was telling somebody not too long ago before we break, there's a difference between punishment and consequences. With consequences, you can see the error of your ways and you can move forward and you can get the counseling and help you need. Punishment is like you've run the gamut. Now you have to pay the cost. So my goal is that you get consequences to get you back on track. But if you choose not to do that, the punishment is going to be is really big.
People don't change until they have to.
That's right.
People don't change until the consequence or the threat of the consequence outweighs the payoff.
That's right.
Problem is with some of the kids like you're talking about or Robbie's talking about, they don't care about consequences anymore. Punishments don't matter. You're grounded, screw you, bye. So it's kind of one of those kind of things. So they say, so what do I do? I say, well, how about nothing? And they, what do you mean? I can't do nothing. I said, nothing is exactly then what you need to do. When I say nothing, you know what I mean? I mean nothing. Don't buy any food. Don't wash their clothes. Don't do their whatever you do. Right. Stop.
Enable.
Go on what I call strike. I'll tell you a funny story. There was a guy named Chuck, and he came to our group that was in Riverside, and he had his wife had passed away. He's raising two of his kids on his own, and there was I think there was 13 and 9 or something like that. But he had to go to work every day, and he'd come home and the house would be a pigsty. There were no drugs. They started a little bit of challenging him. And he says, oh, no, I'm not going to go that route, right? And so the group got together, and they came up with a plan. And so instead of fighting with them every day about the house and their attitudes and their homework, he didn't do anything. They sat down at the dinner table, and there was oatmeal. That's what was there. They didn't say anything. I mean, they're, 13 and 9, so they ate their oatmeal, and they bickered a little bit. And in the morning, guess what was there?
More oatmeal.
More oatmeal. And guess what? Instead of lunch money, he gave them lunch pails. Guess what was in it?
I'm going to go with oatmeal.
You're right.
Yeah.
And guess what was when they came home from school? Guess what was for dinner again?
More oatmeal.
And guess what he didn't do? He didn't argue. He didn't debate it. When they woke up in the morning, the next morning, the same thing. When he came home from work, the day number 3, guess what? House was spotless. They picked up everything they needed to do. They did what they needed to do. They said, sorry, Dad. And he says, I hope so. Because if not, it's oatmeal. and that ended everything. Everything stopped. So sometimes I'll tell parents that don't know what to do, just go on strike. If that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Don't fight with them. They don't want to wake up for school. Don't fight with them. They don't want to do their homework. Don't fight with them. Go on strike. Call the school. Let them know it was, hey, my kid's not wanting to come to school today. He's laying in bed or she's laying in bed. It's an unexcused absence. Stop enabling. So instead of fighting, we are smarter than our kids. I'm sorry. We've been kids before. So, well, oh, my kid's so slick. Now, come on, man. That means we just don't want to do what we need to do.
Well, there's before we close, there's a thing that I always say: no responsibility, no accountability equals no consequences.
And no consequences equals
You know,
disaster. It's a
That's
recipe,
right.
prescription for disaster. You know, imagine if this world had no consequences and everybody could do anything they wanted to do. It'd be
Right.
crazy.
Oh yeah.
You know, I have rehabs. What if I called my rehabs and said, I want all staff to leave, let the patients run it?
And a lot of times when things are offered to you free, you don't take advantage of it. You know, it's not important. We were just talking today, and I was telling you about some of the things that I had offered to some of the clients. Not one of them showed up. Not one.
When we come back from break, let's talk about some of the things you are offering and that I am offering, and we'll go from there. This is your Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Cary Question along with Robbie Robinson. We shall be right back, though. Welcome back to the Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Cary Question. I am your host. I'm along with Robbie Robinson, my co-host. And we're talking about for anybody that just joined us, we're talking about everything from gratitude to enabling to parenting
That's right.
and that kind of stuff. Where do you want to go from here, Robbie? What do you want to do?
Well, the thing is, with the holidays coming up, we have to be, of course, everybody says this, be thankful for everything. And we have to be thankful for the kids that we have also. I mean, they are our offsprings, and our goal as parents is to raise them in the right way. Sometimes the things, what I'm saying now, a lot of people say it's cliche or so old, but you have to have respect for God, and there's no respect for God anymore. And I always say this: there's no respect for the values of American society, the country, and there's no respect for our flag. But a lot of that starts at home. And so now, as kids progress, they forget these things because everything is pretty much given to them. When you and I came up and Jenny came up, we had to work for everything. We had to work very hard just to do just to get the things that we really wanted. And so now, with enabling, a lot of parents enable and give.
But our world was a little bit
It was
different.
totally different
If
then.
if you look at, okay, let's pick Santa Clarita for instance, right, and then let's look at L.A. There's a big difference.
Yes.
In Santa Clarita, there's money,
Yes.
there's families, right? There's a whole lot of different opportunities. In LA, and let's pick a poorer neighborhood, for instance, right? You got people that aren't working, families that are split up, moms that are at home, right? And then you got gang issues and stuff like that. But here, those kids are not as entitled as our kids
That's right.
because they grow up faster and harder. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Yes.
Here in Santa Clarita, and I moved here for that reason. I want my kids to stay young, you know what I'm saying? But they're more enabled. They're definitely more sheltered, definitely more spoiled, and definitely not as much discipline. Because when you go to LA and you got some of them moms that are staying home, they see everything. Them kids are a little afraid to sometimes deal with that.
Yeah.
But here they're so connected, Robbie, to their friends. They're so disconnected to their families.
Yes.
So if we say this every week, if little Johnny goes to bed or little Jane goes to bed, what's the last thing they do at 12 or 13 years old? They say goodnight to their friends in person on the phone, right?
That's right.
They look at them, good night, put down the phone, and they go to sleep. First thing in the morning, they roll over in bed, and they go, oh, God, blah, 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 blah. And they pick up their phone and they check their social media. See what everybody's gonna do.
How many likes they have.
How many likes they got, and what's going on. Make sure there's no drama. They put down their phone, use the restroom, say hi to mom or dad or whoever's living there at the time, and they go to school with their friends again. They come home and they do it all over again. And then if we go out to, and the sad thing, we as adults do the same thing.
Oh yeah.
We look at our phones before we go to sleep. We check our social media. We wake up. We pick up the phone. We do whatever it is we do on our phone. We go to work. We look at our phones throughout the day, right? And then we all go out to dinner together, maybe. And what is everybody doing? They're still on their phones. So if we're together, lots of times we're not together. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. I got off social media,
Yeah, no,
and I got off. I never was on it really heavy. Was on it to say happy birthday, but I just cut it off. And then I didn't get. I got on Instagram one day, and by the time the evening came, I had about 20 or 30 people wanting to friend me. Got off of it, and so I read the newspaper, and I'll look up things that I have to look up. Like biblical things or whatever. But, I'm just reading the paper and I just cut it off because it's good in a sense to stay connected with your family across country and all that. But some of the opinions that are given and some of the things that are put there are just really not good. And these kids live by it. They really live by it. They want to see who the rappers are and who is this and the messages that are being given.
Who's the popular kid?
I just
who's
cut
popular
it off.
this week? Who's going through stuff? I
Yep.
mean, they're so connected to
Yeah.
that phone.
They're connected to
They're
it.
so connected.
You
to
know it. All
social
of us.
media.
All of us have sat down in a restaurant. All of us. Me, you, Jenny, everybody. And you look around and you see the people. Everybody's on their phone. I don't see them talking. And like if you walk to the bathroom or you walk to the salad bar, nobody's talking. Everybody's on their phone.
I was watching a father and a kid walking yesterday across the street, and the kid bumped into a pole. I'm watching it happen. I almost said, "You're going to get a ticket for texting and walking," and boom. And he didn't hurt himself, but you could see him look, and it was like nothing. He just walked around it, but back on his phone, texting, walking into the store, and I'm like, wow, what's going on around here? Literally. I was at the swap meet, actually, and he was walking into a booth. That's where it was. And the kid just walked into something.
Unreal. It's like a movie scene. I think the thing that's concerning for me, and I have a 14-year-old and 11-year-old. The 14-year-old has a phone and, of course, is interested in social media. And there was a time where it was a post, and I'm just using a general idea, but it was a post about like a puppy dog. Honestly, it was that innocent. And I made a point to show him that within 3 or 4 comments of a post of a puppy dog, people were arguing and name calling. And it was just really disheartening. And I wanted him to see that because I wanted him to know that obviously this is not okay. This is not acceptable behavior. And I made the point to him. I had heard this a while ago, and I think it's a really valid point that basically if you would not say that to someone's face, if you were sitting across from someone and you're both talking about the same puppy dog post, would you say that to their face? And if the answer is no, obviously, then don't post that.
That's right.
People just have this sense of being anonymous, and they feel that they can say all of these horrible things, and it's terrible. It's scary.
It's funny you say that because I was looking at a post from the neighborhood thing, right? And this lady was trying to give away a dog, and she clearly said, "I don't have enough time for it. I'm not home enough. I feel terrible for the dog." And I mean, okay, I have 4 dogs. I wouldn't give them away for anything. Besides that, my wife Jessica would murder me, but I wouldn't give them away anyways. But it's like, wait a minute. All of a sudden, she was abused and beating up this lady for wanting to give this dog away. You should have seen the mean stuff that was said. And then people were yelling at the people that were mean, saying, read why she wants to do this. Right. But you're right. I mean, we're setting ourselves up for all kinds of headaches when it comes to this kinds of stuff,
That reminds me of the great football coach for the Chicago Bears, Mike Ditka. And he was on a radio show, and this guy was complaining, talking about him. He said to the guy, wherever you are, you come down to so-and-so. I will be there, and say it in my face. And Ditka went down there, and the guy never showed up.
Well, I have one word for that. Duh.
He got wise.
He said, you come down to such and such, and I will be there. And Dick came back, I think, the following week. He never showed up. And he says, so keep your comments to yourself. So there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but social media has changed everything. And in a lot of ways, it's great. I mean, I have it because it helps in business. And I have people that reach out to me on social media that I haven't spoke to in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, reaching out to me for help or to say thank you. or sometimes even worse. But so I need to be there, and it helps me do what I need to do, which is get the word out there about addiction and drugs and mental health and all that great stuff, parenting. It's good. But I want to get back to this is sounding down today, isn't it? This is like the holidays, Robbie. What are we doing?
Well, we don't want people to. Our goal here is to have people enlightened to think about things that need to be done. I mean,
So let's
it's
come
happy.
let's come up with some good advice now of everything we said about social media, enabling, discipline. Let's come up with some good advice.
Well, the good advice is getting connected to your family.
Ah.
Family connection is very important. You don't have to agree with everything that is said, but we can sit down and talk about things. So family connection is very, very important. Not a lot of times people get connected at funerals. Let's not always be connected at funerals. Let's get connected just in general. What are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on with you? How can I, and what's missing now is there's a lot of knowledge within the family unit, and it's not being utilized because a lot of not always, but a lot of the younger, I don't want to do that. That was old. That's passe. There are issues about how do I get a job? Well, you got 4 or 5 uncles who work in business, and you have an uncle who's a professor. You have an uncle who's this. So sit down and talk with them. That's the connection, connecting with each other, using the knowledge of those who went before us. Using that knowledge. Of course, there's a better way to do it, but first you have to get the structure.
When was the last time you called your brother and said I love you, or your mother, or your
That's right.
sister, or your aunt,
That's right.
or your uncle, or an old friend?
That's true.
Just to call them and let them know that you appreciate them. This
Yeah.
is the stuff that needs
Yeah.
to happen during the holidays. We need to be grateful for the people we have. We need to let people know that we're grateful for. Hey, Bobby, by the way, I am super grateful that you're my friend.
Yeah, there
And
you go.
you're one of
Same
my
here.
best friends,
I
and you know
appreciate
that.
You know that.
And I love you lots, and I respect you for everything you stand for.
You too. When I was sick, you came by to see me,
Hey,
I
you
mean,
offered to bring me soup last week.
I told you. You told me don't come by because
You-
everybody you said.
Sharing is caring, and I
Yeah.
care, but I didn't want to share COVID
Yeah,
with
yeah.
you.
But the thing is,
Unless
it's
you
just
wanted it.
no,
I mean, yeah, come
no.
by.
But the thing is family connection, friend and acquaintance connection. Those are important. Family connection is great. Friend connection is really
Hey,
good.
how about this? I want to thank everybody here on KHTS Radio.
Yeah.
Everyone here from the Goldmans to everyone that works here, to our
Yeah.
board op right
Yeah.
here,
To Miss
because
Jenny.
because we do appreciate you guys and
course.
what
And
you
IU, yeah.
stand for here in Santa Clarita and all that you do. You guys are all local heroes here, and we appreciate you
Yeah.
for jumping in and talking when we're on the show. That I've been on a lot of shows for a lot of years here, and we have different board ops, and they're all great. But I love the participation
Oh, yeah.
that you
Well,
do.
thank you.
I
Yeah.
mean, you could feel that you feel it with us.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I've told you before, I'm not an expert in your field. Obviously, you two are, and my questions and my comments just come from a place of wanting to learn, and, like a genuine interest. And I think that's helpful for people listening because most people are probably like me. They don't know
Yeah.
much, so they're learning from you.
But you're a mother, and that's a great thing.
That brings. I want to say
That's a
something.
great,
I
that's
have
a great thing being a mother.
moms are saints.
Oh
At the
yeah.
end of the day, they're the ones, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Because in most homes, our dads are the cool ones. They go to work, take care of business, they come home, and poor mom, she has to deal with the kids, the dogs, the birds, the tortoises, whatever else is in that house.
right.
I mean, I tell you what, I'd rather go to work than have to stay at home and do all the stuff that some of these poor moms,
That's true.
or wives or staying at home husbands do. I mean, that's a hard job.
It
So to
is.
my wife, I sure appreciate you and love you,
Appreciate
and
my
thanks
wife.
for all you do. But we have to think about all that
You have
stuff.
to let people know that you appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not after they pass. Let them know while they can still accept it and take it. I let my instructors know, let you know, Jenny, and people that I know. I say, and this is one of the sayings I say now. thank you for listening to me. Look, I'm 70 years old, so I mean,
Are you that old?
yeah, I'm old man now.
I was going to say, dude, you look great for 73.
Well, well, you know, you need to be on a comedy show. But no, I always say that. I tell people, thank you for listening to me, because people don't want to hear. They don't want to hear. And it's not about, I'm trying to give you advice. I'm just telling you my experiences. And you can take that experience and use it and go forward with it. Even when I teach the kids, on Saturday we were talking. I mean, you offer great services. I've been teaching kids for free for now about 2 years. Well, I've always done it. But I'm at Higher Vision Church every Saturday. I teach kids from 10 to 11:30. Sometimes I go to 12 o'clock, teach boxing and karate, but it's more of a mentorship. So I have, like, first I was having like 15, 20 kids. I'm down to maybe like 6 or 7 because they really want it. It's free. And I know that a lot of the parents can't pay the money that some of these karate schools, and they can't pay that. So I'm there free. I mean, we don't have a ring. We have a great room in there. And then when they start getting skillful, then I take them to other boxing gyms so they can spar and do.
You
But
got some
this
that
is
are really
free.
good little fighters, too.
Oh yeah, I
Like
have
that
some.
might go somewhere.
Yeah, well, I know one of the young ladies she's going to go somewhere. She's been coming ever since I started teaching, and I've been teaching
How
free
old is
for.
she?
She's 10.
That girl can fight.
Yes,
I
she has
mean,
no fear.
I've seen her. She can
She
fight.
has no fear. She every session ever since I've known her for about a year or two, she comes up and gives me and says, "Thank you, coach." Every time, and I always get on it. Get your hands up, move, speed, speed, speed. You know, I do that. And she has 2 brothers. Out of both of them, she's got the most heart.
Yeah, they better not piss her off.
No,
They better watch their step
Yeah.
with that girl. That's for sure. And listen, if you have a teenager today or you kids that you're even concerned a little bit about what's going on in the world, show up at our group.
Yeah.
Every Tuesday night at Sierra Vista, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock, there's an Action Parent Teen Support Program.
Right.
You do not have to be in crisis to come to that
That's
group.
right.
If you are in crisis, I sure hope you come in. I mean, any kind of crisis. It's not about drugs in that group. It's about what's going on in teenagers' lives.
That's right.
If it's drugs, if it's self-esteem, if it's school, if it's out of control, whatever it is, it's free. Come hang out with us. I'm there every Tuesday, except for the last week because I was sick. But every Tuesday at 7 p.m. at Sierra Vista in the multi-purpose room. Robbie shows up at on occasion.
Yeah.
But again, it's a free group. Come and hang out, see what's going on,
And
find out what's happening with children today.
And every Saturday at Higher Vision Church at the MPR room, I'm there from 10 o'clock, 10:30 until 11:30, 12. And I'm teaching boxing and karate to the kids. And come. And
It's
if they
not
keep
just
coming,
boxing and
it's mentorship.
karate. Yeah, it's
It's
a
more of a
whole,
mentorship.
You're teaching them respect. You're
Yes.
teaching them discipline. You
That's it.
support. You got it all going on there.
That's it.
And you charge a lot of money, though. Oh, it's free.
Yeah, it's free. It's free.
Every kid, everybody that has a young kid should be there. I mean, get them in there.
And even if they don't become fighters, and even if they don't become, world champions, they're going to learn the discipline and the focus that they're going to need through their life.
Yeah. On that note, hey, guess what time it is? It's a break time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it sure is.
We will be right back. Welcome back to Action Drug Rehab Hour. I'm Cary Question. I'm along here with Robbie Robinson, one of my better friends in this universe.
That.
And
I appreciate that.
he's my co-host, and he's an awesome guy, and he works as a civilian interventionist at the Sheriff's Department, through the Sheriff's Department, meaning if there's somebody that's in trouble, that's in jail, and they're there because of alcohol or drugs or something like that, he reaches out.
That's right.
And sees if they want any kind of help, or if there's a parent that shows up in the Sheriff's Department saying, my kid's in trouble, they'll meet Robbie Robinson.
We'll work with them.
And,
Some way we'll work with them. Remember, the answers come from a collaborative effort, not just from me. But what are you willing to do and change to work with your kid? No, never did.
You know what? You used to, and somebody stole it from you.
Yeah, they sure
car.
did.
Now it means parents have to get involved.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah, but
what are you willing to change to get your child on the right track? I know that they may be acting out, but sometimes what are you willing to do? Are you willing to give up certain things so that you can devote time to your children? And not only that, are you willing to listen? Are you willing to really listen to what they're saying? Because a lot of times they may not speak it, but their actions may speak louder than their voice. So what can I do to get my child back?
You know what? Again, I want to repeat what we said earlier. It's never too late.
Never too late.
Never too. Why do kids join gangs?
Hey, well, it's for the camaraderie. It's for
The
the
family,
excitement.
the
It's
event.
the family. I remember one guy said to me, I have two families, my biological family and I have my street family. Who do you think I'm going to gravitate to? He said, the streets.
And they are family.
Yeah,
And
they
they do
are.
care about
Yeah.
each other. They do love each other. They will back each other almost to the end. When it comes
Yes.
right down to it,
Yes.
obviously they go wherever they have to for themselves, but it's a family.
Yeah.
And that's why people join gangs. And that's why they will find other cultures like drug cultures and that kinds of stuff. So it's like Robbie said, it starts at home, guys. And for the past few years, I've been doing a lot of surveys. And here's what I found out. The average parent spends between 2 and 10 minutes talking and listening to a teenager today,
That's right.
which means they have 16 plus hours talking and listening to their friends. Bond with your kids. Make it a conscious decision to do things differently. If you're at a dinner table with your family, put the phone down.
Yeah.
Don't pick it up till after everybody leaves the table. If you're done with your food and your children are still at the table, don't walk away.
That's right.
Hang tight. Make sure they know they're important. If you, I mean, have some boundaries when it comes to that kinds of
That's
stuff
right.
on yourself. And it's hard. As the phone's in the pocket, we want to reach for it. If we're done with dinner, we want to walk away from the table, but we have family there.
That's right.
So it's a decision that we got to make. I guess what I'm trying to say is bond. Make your time as the quality as you possibly can, and even more than quality, find some quantity.
That's right.
I mean, you really got to spend some time with children today. That's where we're losing them. And remember, there's 3 types of kids in this world, and 3 categories, and I'll put them real fast. There's the kids that know exactly what they want to do when they grow up, and Robbie was one of those.
Appreciate
He wanted
that.
to be a fighter.
That was it.
He wanted to be an actor. He wanted to work to help people. So he became a fighter. He became an actor. And he became a probation officer for 30-something years.
Yes.
So he knew what he had to do, meaning he stayed away from the crap that he could have got involved with. Probably was lonely some of the times because of that.
Of course it was.
But he made a decision. So there's those group of kids. Then there's the ones like me. Oops. Whatever you could do wrong went wrong, I did. It was just getting me through to where I finally said enough. And then the next category, which is the biggest one, and that's the fence sitters, Robbie.
That's right.
That means they're going to do what everybody else does. All that corny stuff, families that eat together, pray together, play together, those kids do well. But families that don't, they sit down and play with their phones and they ignore what's going on and they don't pay much attention. Those kids get lost and find a place to fit. That's where the gangs and the drugs and the peers come and the social media and all the craziness. So make a commitment to yourself. Starting now, these holidays, reach out to people you love. Be there for your families. Be there for your kids. Be there for your husbands, wives, uncles, aunts, cousins, nephews, nieces, grandparents. That's an important one, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Reach out and let people know that you love them and that you're there and you care about them and that you appreciate them. What do you want to say about that?
Oh, I totally agree with all of that. When growing up back east and wanting to be a karate fighter was one of the greatest things that I wanted, but I learned to discipline myself. And what happens is when you choose something that is enlightening and positive and right, it leads you into something else. After that, I wanted to become a teacher. After that, I went to college. And then when I was in college, I taught karate. Then when I went to grad school, I taught karate. And then after that, I had my goal, okay, I'm going to move to California. So I had goals. Even to this day, when I get up in the morning before I work out, I lay my clothes out. The discipline, the focus that it taught me. And this needs to be passed on. There's a position right now in Hollywood that looks very appealing to me, but I want to work here. I've worked in the inner cities most of my career, but I'm seeing the breakdown of the family in the neighborhoods up here. There's a big breakdown because there's no communication. And a lot of kids will say, well, they don't understand me, because sometimes what the kids are saying is they want to be heard. Now, it doesn't matter. It's not about being right, but I want to be heard. And
they need a voice.
They do need a voice. And so now, as parents, I can talk with you. I can try to direct you, but the choice is yours.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, we got to get off the air. But for this holiday, let's pay attention to the things that we are grateful for.
Yes.
The people in our worlds that we're grateful for. The things that we have that other people might not have, versus the things that we wish we had. And expectations. Don't put expectations on people, places, or things. It's a setup. Your expectations will never work out the way you want them to work out. So just be grateful for what you have and who you got and who loves you and who you love. And we will be back next week. Stay safe. This is the Action Drug Rehab Hour. Bye-bye.